All right, I'll say, how are you all this evening of your time? My alien friends. We will begin the idea of this interaction this evening at a time, once again, and furthermore, with the idea, as we have been discussing, of ecstasy. In this way, allow us to remind you, for in this way it is always a joy to be allowed to remind you that it is your birthright to live in ecstasy. You are created from ecstasy, created from love. It is the fabric and the essence of all that is. The very material, if you wish, out of which the idea of the universe is created within all that is. Ecstasy, your willingness to recognize your right to exist as the fundamental being you were created to be. Your zero rest point. A place, in a sense, within yourself. An attitude, a demeanor, a state of being in which you find that all situations are created from you and that all situations are created fundamentally equal and neutral, and that you can apply the knowingness to each and every situation, the knowingness out of which you created each and every situation, simply allowing each and every fundamentally neutral situation to be a reflection of your knowingness, trusting that every situation that occurs, every event that occurs, is an opportunity to recognize within yourself the primal creative essence out of which the situation was fashioned, was fabricated. Knowingness is ecstasy. Ecstasy is knowingness. Both are trust. The idea of simply exercising the faith to know that everything in your life is, by definition, something that belongs there. Thus, that gives you the opportunity to operate in a knowing condition, in a controlled condition, knowing that everything is an opportunity to be viewed, to be of service in a positive way. If you but know and have the attitude and trust that it is so, then that is the only type of manifestation that can occur in connection to any given situation. A positive one. As we have said, the idea of every situation being fundamentally neutral gives you the opportunity to give it whatever meaning you desire, positive and or negative. Giving an idea a negative meaning will create it to have a negative effect. Giving it a positive meaning will create it to have a positive effect. It is, in your terms, that simple. Ecstasy is also the allowance, not the making, not the forcing, but the allowance of life to be that simple. To know that you, by the simple fact that you exist, deserve anything you can imagine, anything you can desire. It is your birthright, your creation right, to allow that which you can imagine to be realized for you. In this way, recognize on other levels of your existence, the imagination is the reality. You can allow it to be the case in physical reality as well, and this is what part of the transformation at this time is all about. The blending of your physical reality with all the other levels that you are in a way that allows you to know that your physical reality is just as much an imaginary choice as anything, and that you can replace the ideas, the events, and the situations of your physical reality with any choice at all, since what you are experiencing is the product of a choice to begin with. Only you decide what versions, what beliefs about reality, about the idea of reality, will be the ones to be realized, solidified in your experience. You are, therefore, going to find, as you blend your physical reality and your dream reality, your imagination reality together, that you may find until, let us say, you get used to living in that state, that your physical reality from time to time, as you create time to exist, may take on disassociated, disconnected, and or dreamlike qualities. a sense of or surrealness, in which you seem to be floating through the event, not really so much a part of it, and yet connected to every level of it, in which physical reality may seem all of a sudden to take on a dimensionlessness, a flatness, an insubstantialness. These are only your conscious recognitions of the blending. You can always continue to exist in that state in an ecstatic way by simply knowing that life is something, in your terms, you can flow through, and that can flow through you. For life is what you are. Life is what you are made of. You are yourselves the pulse and the heartbeat of the idea of time and space. You determine how much of either you experience. Integration gives you the opportunity to experience all the events you have chosen to experience in less time. Separation and judgment creates the opportunity to create more time and need more room in which to experience the ideas. Therefore, recognize that even within what you call your language, once again, it is quite literal in this instance that when you are blended, when you are flowing, when you are totally within the ecstasy of the act, it takes less time. Literally. It is not that time is the same and it is only sped up. It seems to be sped up because there is not as much of it. You are creating less time in which to have an experience. Sharing.
Bashar? My daughter was at a service station yesterday and left her car door open briefly. And when she came back, a little dog was on the back seat. Very small little, very tiny little dog.
Well, this big.
And she asked around and nobody knew it. So she brought it home. And she has a very strong feeling that this little dog should be with her. And she would like to know what you think about it. And my question is, was the little dog abandoned, or are her previous owners looking for her?
In this way, once again, do not forget that the animal always knows exactly where it needs to be at any given moment. And in this way, you will find that if anyone truly, in that sense, needs to have that animal back, they will. Recognize that you can simply do whatever is within your power to advertise the idea that the animal is with your daughter in that way, and simply recognize that for whatever time the animal is with her, that will be the time that the animal needs to be with her. And once again, remember, the idea in your civilization of what you call the symbol of the dog is the symbol of service. Companionship and service.
Well, does the dog's consciousness have a special relationship to my daughter's?
Obviously. Otherwise, the dog would not be there.
Obviously.
Any interaction is, obviously, by definition, the product of a relationship in those terms as they need to be experienced, and in your terms, therefore, special in that way. Otherwise, it would not happen. Once again, allow me to remind you, nothing in the universe happens extraneously. Nothing happens for no reason.
Sorry.
Oh, do not be sorry. Simply allow me to remind you once again that you are very capable of allowing yourself to recognize that these situations, at least in the terms upon which you are asking them, are all quite obvious.
That's true.
In those terms.
Well, the little dog walks in a strange way. Is something wrong with her back legs?
How does your daughter walk through life?
Through life. Okay. Yes, up and down.
All right.
Sideways.
Then allow your daughter to attract to her whatever reflections are necessary. And allow her to take unto heart The idea that communication is going on quite consciously on the surface if she is but willing to see.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you very much.
Oh,
Yes.
well, you. You.
Me? Yes.
All right, you then.
Yes. I waited 10 months to
10 months.
Yes. I couldn't come here 10 months ago. Anyway, about last April, I experienced about 3 months of what you described at the beginning of this session.
You experienced 3 months last April?
Yes, I did.
All right.
All in one moment.
All right.
It was, I was absolutely fascinated with every moment, and every moment was almost like jumping off a cliff, and it was okay.
Living in the now.
It was lovely.
Was?
And then, yes, was.
Why was?
Well, you see. Then a strange thing started happening.
Strange.
These very morbid, horrible thoughts started coming in, one by one.
Yay.
In other words, I could look at the news prior to this time, and it all looked good. Even the starving faces in Ethiopia.
All right.
Were brilliant reminders to everyone to open their hearts and all that. Yes.
Now what?
Then it started all looking ugly, and it all started looking malevolent, as if this thing that I'd experienced was all a joke, and as if it was all an illusion, which I know that it is, and I know I created all of it.
All right. How does seeing it in that way serve you now?
Well, that's what I'd like to know. Then the next thing that happened was an experience one night. All of a sudden, all these dichotomies which had melted, I swear, every single dichotomy in the universe came rolling in on me, and it seemed to not be in my control, and my heart and my heart was beating a mile a minute. I actually thought I was dying, and I was having a heart attack, and I almost went unconscious, and parts of my body disappeared, and I was just terrified, and I even had the paramedics come up, and they did nothing, but I had company. Guys, 3 in the morning.
3 in the morning. Very apropos.
Yes. So, and also I was quite lonely during this time, and then I got these. But anyway, I thought that was quite funny that night. But then after this, I went to the hospital. Very slightly.
Oh, right.
Then I took myself to the hospital, and I was not having a heart attack, but everything looked very strange to me. Yes. And
disorientation.
Very much so. So I couldn't even go out of my house. I actually cringed from the sun and the moon even.
Oh.
It was too much.
Oh.
And I thought, and I could think, I know I'm creating this, but I don't want to be creating this at the same time. It was almost the dichotomy of the original thing that I experienced. Okay, then on and on and on. I tried various ways of dealing with this. I do have a function in life.
Try.
Yes, I know. I know about try.
Oh.
So then recently, I've been experiencing again, driving in my car, and my heart will beat a mile a minute, and I will start to faint, and I feel very, very disoriented from life. It's boring to me, and but not really boring. But am I ill? I want to know if I'm ill.
Ill? Yes. You have symptoms of transformation sickness. You are experiencing the idea of fourth density disease.
That's what I thought. Well, what is the remedy?
To live.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
And cease to judge what is happening to you as something negative.
Yeah, there's less fear now about it.
Okay. Make a friend of your fear. It is there to show you something. Accept the message it delivers and integrate that message within you as a part of you.
Well, it's pretty humbling.
Recognize in this way that may have been the point. So that you will also know that in your ecstasy, you will also at the same time remain grounded enough to assist others. You follow me?
Yes, kind of. I'm sorry, I don't quite.
All right. Just take it in a general sense.
Okay.
The idea that when you accelerate to infinite speeds, many times you will create within you from your belief systems that you will lose sight of the ideas you wish to exemplify in choosing this physical life upon your planet. So you give yourself the opportunity to experience the polarity of the ecstasy in that way, so that you now will be able to blend the two dichotomies, as you say, and form a balanced state of being that will allow you to exist in the fourth density state with equal ease.
Now I get it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you. All right, you are right. Now, one more thing.
Yes.
How are your dreams?
Oh, I've had interesting dreams where I have actually identified someone several thousand miles away that I never heard of, and had someone call me on that a week later and tell me what I dreamt.
All right, very good.
And I forgot to mention that.
Thank you very much for allowing me to mention it for you.
Oh, my pleasure.
And for allowing yourself to begin to remember who and what you are. Pay attention. Messages will come from farther away than that. All right?
Okay.
Thank you, Crystal.
Bashar.
Yes.
It's strawberry.
Strawberry.
Crystal is sitting next to Strawberry.
Like Crystal, life ain't been that sweet.
You are not being Strawberry.
No. Right. Lately, I've been experiencing absence of ecstasy.
What makes you think so? Perhaps you are simply not recognizing the guise in which it is appearing in your life, and judging it to not be ecstasy.
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
You are, okay, that's a good thought.
It's a suggestion.
I like it.
All right.
I also have been experiencing apparent automatic disbelief that I'm causing this crap.
What are you labeling as crap?
This choice to experience the dichotomy of ecstasy, which I don't seem...
All right. Let me put it another way.
All right.
What is it that allows you to continue to label it as the opposite?
What allows me to label it as...
What makes you think it is the opposite of ecstasy that you are experiencing? By what definition does it seem to be so?
I guess I've assigned pressure, the absence of certain feelings, these various conditions I call miserable, heavy.
Oh, all right. First of all, pressure. From where is this pressure coming?
It seems to be coming from the whole universe.
The whole universe?
The whole universe seems to be laying on my body.
All right. Perhaps in a sense it is.
Yeah.
So that you will have the creative pressure to be motivated in the direction it is pushing you in.
It doesn't seem to motivate. It seems to contract.
Contract?
Contraction and immobility more than, it seems...
That is because all realities are equally probable. And until you make a decision to move in a certain direction, you will feel pressure equally from all sides. Because all realities have the equal potential to be realized. They are all vying at the same time for realization. You must decide which one to allow through, and therefore which valve to open so that you can move in that direction.
That's very nice. Thank you, Bishop.
Oh, thank you. Now,
you're welcome.
what about these ideas of absence of feelings? How do you know, if you cannot feel them, that they are absent?
Oh, I can feel. I have a tactile sensation of an absence.
A tactile sensation of an absence.
Yes.
An absence of what?
An absence of a particular sensation which I can mock up and remember.
Why is mocking up and remembering not the same thing as being in that state?
Because I have it separate from it.
Why?
That one I don't know. I need some...
To us, the idea of mocking up and remembering is the creation of the state in the present.
But you can be sitting apparently in the dichotomy of it and have the positive creation, quote unquote, or the preference separate.
You can keep it unreal, yes. Or you can allow it to be real.
Okay, and how do I go about allowing? I'll go, I allow this to be real. And it goes,
you fully trust that it is, which obviously you do not.
No, I go to fully trust, and I get automatic, oh, you're full of crapola.
Nope. You are making a connection where none exists. You cannot, by definition, fully trust one reality and get any effect other than what is, by definition, a part of that reality. If you get another effect, that is the reality you fully trust.
That is correct. And that's the one I'm trusting. I'm trusting the crap.
Yes.
I seem to be good at trusting crap.
Good. Perhaps it is simply your way to experience that to the utmost, so that you can truly have pride in being a master of limitation.
I have a crap master.
When you find that it has served you enough, and you are, in your terms, finally good and tired of it, then you will change.
I seem tired. I invented a crap-eating dragon who died from an overdose of crap.
Why did it not survive?
It seemed to get overdosed. It had a limit.
Nothing seems in that way without your creating it to seem so.
I created it with a limit. It was a funny story.
Oh, all right. We are laughing.
Very good.
But simply we are pointing out that all the definitions that you are basing these things on are quite conscious choices in terms of how you wish to look at things.
Even a conscious choice that's not a conscious choice.
But it is.
Right, of course. Okay, this is very nice reflection. I'm enjoying this song playing.
Oh, well, thank you.
Okay, number 2.
That was all number 1.
Actually, it wasn't all of number 1. I didn't want to give you all the number 1. Okay, anyway, that's more funny. I know you're laughing up there, but you don't want to express it because you'll center and break the connection. Okay. Why are wonders...
That is as much as we can give you.
I was looking at my notes. Oh, God. Okay, that's good. I'll have the video. Okay, good. Why are wondrous moments in times apparently followed by rotten moments?
Because you create that belief that something is too good to last.
No, I don't recall creating that, and I recall...
But you are creating it right now because you are conscious of it.
That's right. But I've also had the experience where I was creating the continuousness of wonderfulness, and then crap appeared, and then I went...
But you are judging it to be crap, and that is what makes it so. Instead of trusting that whatever comes to you is there for a reason, that is a part of the ecstatic path. And let yourself see how it is.
You keep telling me that, and you're right all the time.
It is simply that you are so much more quick with the judgment than you are with the trust.
Oh, nice.
Because you have had so very much more practice.
That's right. I'm going to develop a new business called Quick Trust.
Yes. I am sure that will earn your interest.
Thank you, Bashar.
Thank you very much.
Our pleasure.
One moment. Hey.
Bashar?
Yes.
I would like to share a very touching experience that happened to me.
All right.
And I don't understand it, but it's obviously...
You understand it how you need to. Proceed.
I understand it how I need to understand it, and I have a strong desire to share it to this group tonight.
Then you understand it perfectly. Continue.
I have a creation that I'm in the midst of creating, an institute called Institute for Consciousness in the Media.
Good.
And today at work, I teach at a school, I'm still teaching. Today at work, one of the teachers came up to me and said, "What are you going to do this summer?" And I said, "Oh, I'm going to just sort of create my business. I'm starting a new business." She said, "What is it?" And I told her, and she said, "That is incredible. What do you need?" And I said, "Well, I'm looking for..."
I will assume, of course, she meant it was quite credible.
Yes.
All right.
And also the school I'm teaching is a very religious, Orthodox Jewish school, and most of the people do not allow their children to watch TV because they're very anti-images
media images.
All right.
They're very selective on what the children watch.
All right.
She had a very, very positive reaction. And I said I was looking for financing, and she said, well, let me be the first one to give you money.
Then not only a positive reaction, but a positive action.
Now, this woman is raising her children alone as I am. She's one of the few women that divorced in this particular group. Most of the Orthodox people are very tight with families and have a lot of children. She doesn't have a lot of money. She said, I can't afford much. All I can give you is $46. Would that be okay? I started crying. I was totally, I mean, you can imagine how I felt.
All right.
We walked into the office. She writes me out a check, and I said to her, when you get this check back, would you give it to me? I want to Xerox it, and I would like to put it in a plaque, and you are my first contributor. You don't know what wonderful things you've just done. She says, yes, I do. I understand. Now, I come home. The minute I walk home into my house, my daughter is crying hysterically. She's 11 years old.
Hey.
I found this out after questioning her. The minute that this woman was signing the check, my daughter was almost hit by a car walking across the street. She was crossing on a green light. A car went through, and she said she felt it touch her legs. That's how close it got. I never witnessed it, and it really shook her up. Okay? We questioned each other, and the time that it happened is exactly when this woman was signing the check.
Synchronicity.
Now, my reaction, when something like that happens, you never know what kind of reaction you're going to have.
Oh, yes, you do.
Okay? My reaction was, of course, I started crying. I was so grateful that she was okay, and I said to her, that is an incredible thing that happened. This proves that there are guardian angels watching over us at this point in time.
In a sense.
In a sense, and that we were very fortunate, and the synchronicity of the two events became very significant.
Yes.
And I wanted to share that.
Thank you very much for your willingness to open doorways simultaneously. You will now find that there will be much acceleration in both of your lives. No, I have nothing to do with it. Thank you for your sharing, has also made a difference. And will open more doorways, simply because of the action.
I understand.
You are both now, not who you used to be.
That's right. That's true.
Thank you. Sharing.
In what sense are their guardian angels?
In the sense that there are, in your terms, non-physical beings that are associated with you in this way, that are constantly sending you unconditional love that you can make a decision to associate with, and thus in this way form the idea of the type of path that allows you to sense the reflection of the idea that it is not so much that you need protection, but that simply the path that you are on does not contain the idea of attack. Did you follow that?
That last one I got didn't follow.
The idea of guardian angel is simply one that reminds you that you have the opportunity to agree with the vibration of that being, of that spirit, that you do not need protection. And that, to use your term, is what protects you.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
You identify with that portion of your own creatorhood, with your own spirit. Thank you.
Bashar?
One moment. Hey.
I have a young friend who just turned 12 but was 11 years old when this happened to him.
Another one.
Yes, another 11-year-old. And I hadn't heard from him for quite a while, and when I went back to Australia, I found out from his mother that he had a brain tumor. And he was a very good artist, and I think he was probably a star person, because he was always telling stories about outer space. He drew pictures of starships of all different kinds. Now he's lost all his ability in his right hand. He has to learn how to speak again. He has to learn how to draw again. I just wondered, what was the lesson for him?
To some degree, karmic, but not so much. More the idea of service to others. For in this way, what he shall relearn will be what needs to be communicated to others in the process of his relearning. For it is to others that this information is now going, and what others will learn about how to extend their senses to communicate with this individual will serve them in life. And what they will now learn will allow them also to recognize their own artistry in life, as well as the loving act of limitation that this child has chosen for himself, so as to be an example in this way to many individuals and to recognize the strength of that choice. It is also part and parcel of the opportunity of many individuals to be in touch with the idea of what communication and channeling through the idea of the brain is all about, so that you can blend and homogenize all of the ideas of mentality upon your planet and recognize in this way that you are always in communication with all aspects of any particular being, and you do not necessarily have to rely upon the physiological manifestation of mentality through the brain to achieve that connection. This will play out in our perception over the next 3 of your years, and will blossom into many flowers. We thank you for bringing to our attention the sharing of that facet of the multidimensional crystal in your world. Sharing!
Bashar.
You!
Me?
You!
Bashar, on television the other night, I saw a newscast about 3 dozen or so pilot whales that have been trying to beach themselves on the north of California along the coast.
Hey.
And despite attempts by people to guide them back out to sea, they keep coming back in. And I wonder, what is that?
To some degree, the idea of magnetic fluctuations within your electromagnetic field. And in this way, the idea of the confusion of the directions that you, as a civilization, as the land humans, may be traveling in with regard to your relationship to them, the water humans.
So, but
it is opportunity for communication, opportunity for the recognition of getting in touch with what it is that guides you through life. And in this way, allowing yourself, in that sense, to determine your own course and to share with them this opportunity to recognize that you do not ever have to go astray.
Is that in the sense that they're pilot whales?
Hey.
That's very interesting, because it's a suicidal kind of attempt.
Not really.
Not really?
It is more the idea of confusion in your terms. For in this way, the idea is their navigation along the electromagnetic fields, because of the shifting of the planet, does not necessarily in that way physiologically allow them to understand where they are. And they enter your realm, as you are also attempting to enter theirs.
Can we help redirect them?
Okay. You can surround them with the idea of the electromagnetic navigational field that will point the direction away from the land, and thus give yourselves an opportunity to recognize what you are capable of in terms of directing the electromagnetic energies of your planet and channeling them through yourselves, and that will have been their service to you.
Was it true when Humphrey got...
Yes, for recognize the idea of the response of that being was first and foremost when they brought in a land human that attempted what you call telepathic contact. Then there was a response. Not complete in your terms, simply because the whale was making a point. And in your terms was, let us say, lobbying. Recognize us. We are here to help you.
Yes, well, there's a tremendous amount of people turned out. I could sense that there was something happening there.
Yes. Yes. Those connections will strengthen as you go into fourth density with what you call your whale and dolphin brothers, sisters, and cousins.
Thank you, Michelle.
Oh, thank you.
Michelle.
Sure.
Yes.
I want to go back to guardian angels or higher self for a second.
All right, have a good time.
Okay. Why does the higher self send down the lower self to learn a lesson that the higher self already knows? What is my misperception?
Oh, thank you. The higher self does not send down a lower self. The idea is that the self creates an idea, and the idea automatically determines that it will be split into components that can experience what it wants to experience. Only in a universe of limitation, of forgetfulness, can you experience many ideas. You cannot experience in a universe in which you do not forget who you are. Thus, to experience certain ideas of limitation, you must create a portion of your consciousness to extend itself into a universe in which you can forget who you are. Thus, the idea of a lower self is created instantaneously upon the desire to have a certain type of experience. It is not that the higher self sends a lower self. It is simply by definition, according to the experience that is desired, that these ideas of separations are created. You follow me?
So I'm now within a realm of limitation, and I've cut myself off from the true knowingness because I'm limiting myself so that I can experience.
But you are still within true knowingness, for what you want to learn, you are learning.
Yeah.
And in this way you have not cut yourself off, for the conduit is always there. Now this is the transformational life. In your terms, you are at the ending of a multi-thousand-year cycle in which you have been forgetting and now you are remembering. So you are reintegrating and becoming aware that you even have such a thing as a higher self.
Do we use human aberration to learn these lessons?
Yes.
So is it pointless to try and get rid of human aberration?
You cannot get rid of it. By accepting and learning the lesson, you simply no longer need that tool, and then it will integrate and smooth out. It is all of the fighting against what you have chosen to learn that continues what you are calling aberration. The acceptance of it will be the integration of it, the learning of it, and the smoothing out of it.
What does acceptance actually mean, though? Let's say I have something that would be socially unacceptable.
Socially?
And embarrassing to me.
Then in this way, you are learning the idea of judgment. And that if it is something in this way that you can still learn from, then it is a lesson just as valuable and equal to any other lesson that you could learn. And you can also learn and have the opportunity from that in terms of knowing how to express yourself in terms that you prefer to. But do not judge any portion of yourself, for to judge it is to create it to remain.
I understand the judgment, but does one practically just go with the flow and just do whatever one feels like doing?
Within your integrity, yes. Recognize the idea of flowing within your integrity is simply recognizing that you are as powerful as you need to be to learn and create and do and be anything you want without having to hurt anyone else to do it. So there is no need for forcing. Going with your flow does not mean the violation of others' rights.
But what if my mother wouldn't like me climbing trees all day long because it's socially unacceptable?
So
but
what?
I feel like climbing trees.
You then climb them.
But how does that not tread on her toes?
In this way, you simply recognize the opportunity to share with her the idea of what you are learning from it in that way and offer her the opportunity to recognize that it is not interfering in your terms, it is not forcing an idea upon someone, it is simply her choice to judge that the idea is something that she does not want to experience in that way. But obviously she has chosen to be with you. And if you are the type of being that wants to do that, then by definition it is something she wants to be shown.
Okay.
You follow me? You can work it out to an equality by granting each other self-empowerment and validity in each other's points of view. Then you may simply find that you may not always want to climb a tree as often as you think you do if it is simply out of spite. You follow me? When you come to equal terms, you will climb your tree when it is exactly all right from her point of view for you to do so. And that is the only time you will feel like climbing it, and vice versa. Whenever you choose to climb it will be the time that she feels it is all right for you to do so. You follow me?
Yes. Thank you.
That is the synchronous harmony that your entire civilization can become. Thank you.
Bashar? This year I've become involved in the Native American church, and I'm going to teepee meetings, and they're all-night peyote ceremonies, and I've been using peyote. It seems to be a very powerful teacher, and I'm wondering what is...
You are a powerful teacher. Thus, when you choose a symbol that reflects the level of power you are comfortable in dealing with, you will receive the power on that level. But it is only a symbol. You are creating what you are experiencing. And the peyote is only there to remind you that you are creating it. You are using it as a symbol. It is not that you need it. It is simply showing you what is possible within yourself, because you are removing your responsibility from having created it and placing it on a symbol that lets it be all right for you to have that level of experience, because I am not doing it, something else is responsible. But you are doing it. Are you enjoying yourself?
Yeah.
Thank you.
How come we seem to need those symbols?
Because once again, in your choice to experience separation, limitation, and forgetfulness, you tend to forget that you are the source of all you experience, and simply assume out of habit that it is other things outside yourself, seemingly, that cause these experiences. So in continuing that habit, you will assume that the drug is causing the experience when it is in fact you.
Bashar? But would it be easy to say, for me to go on an LSD trip without taking LSD?
Yes. Have a good time. In your language, do not many individuals tell you from time to time that they think you are tripping anyway? All right. Let that be your sign. Yes, continue.
In these ceremonies, it's real accelerated in the ceremonies for me. I learn a lot.
Yes.
And, it's like channels are opening up.
Yes.
And
it is all because of your level of willingness.
And it seems like outside of the ceremony is accelerated.
When you allow there to be no difference between your symbols and the life, it will all accelerate at the same pace. All right?
Can you say anything about the Native American? It seems like there's a lot of spiritual...
It is simply that they have not so much forgotten that they exist on more than one level at the same time, and to them, all those different levels are real, so they can consciously move in and out of them more easily than many of the other societies upon your planet that have forgotten that they can do so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Guys.
Bashar?
Guys.
My friend Alan has cancer,
Guys.
and he's worried about it. Is there something I can do to help him, or something he can do to help himself?
Since he created it, of course, he can do anything he wants to with it.
Mm-hmm.
What does he want to do with it?
Well, he'd like to get rid of it.
What is it serving? What is he being forced to look at this time because of the creation of this idea?
I don't know.
Then you will have to ask. Ask him how it serves him, what he is forcing himself to look at, what is coming up, what portions of himself he has not seen before. Allow him to simply know that the idea of the cancer is only a symbol. It is a symbol to allow him to know that he simply did not believe there was any other way that he would be able to look at these portions of himself, so he created something that forced him to. If he is willing to accept what the symbol is showing him, he can then choose another way for those ideas to manifest, and he does not have to choose, in your terms, such a drastic measure to force himself to look at portions of himself he has been denying.
Will he? Will he in fact live after...
That is up to him completely. There is no way to predict such an idea. Mm-hmm. It is up to the individual every single moment. Mm-hmm. You follow me?
Yes.
We sense that his energy could go either way. We sense that there is a bit more of the momentum that he can learn in your terms to alleviate it. But it will depend again upon his willingness to take it as something that he can learn from and to not wallow in victimhood or self-pity. But to learn, to live, expend and share and reconnect the ideas he has separated so that the ideas symbolically of the cells within his body can also reconnect and not be cut off. Continue.
What's hard for me to understand is that he seems to be so full of life and so excited about
Yes.
his work and so
Yes.
warm and responsible for the people around him.
Yes. You are making a connection that he is being punished. You are making a connection and you are making the assumption that this does not serve a positive purpose. Well, how can a good person like him get something so terrible as that? Obviously, by definition, he cannot. So take it as a sign that what is happening is a service. Treat it as such, and you will allow yourself to see how it is such. You follow me? Yes, no, maybe.
Maybe.
The idea is simple. Once again, it is up to you to define what events occur in your life. Every event is fundamentally neutral. If you know that the being is a loving being and is being of service in that way, then recognize what is being created is also an extension of that love, an extension of that service, for it will also serve others to get in touch with portions of themselves, such as you, in terms of dealing with what you normally call your fear. Recognize that because of the way you have created your civilization, there are many ideas that in your terms lay deeply buried within you, that it takes situations like this to bring out because you will not allow them to happen more easily. Once you allow them to happen more easily, then you do not need such drastic symbols. That is what you are learning. Thank you. Go ahead.
Last week when I was here...
One moment. He can also avail himself of the many opportunities of individuals that will allow him to get in touch with his mentality, with his spirit, and in your terms, learn in your terms to visualize himself into a reality that does not contain the idea of cancer.
Okay.
But he will still have to come to terms with why it is there, in terms of allowing it to serve a purpose, and then allow those purposes to be served in other ways. All right?
Would that same principle go for a 79-year-old person who...
Anyone. Age is not a factor unless you choose to make it so.
Great, thanks.
Continue.
Last week you told me to think about or imagine the crystal dome.
Yes.
And when I was...
and who is within it?
Right. When I did that this week, I went to your planet at Tuscany, and I was in a crystal dome.
Yes. And was there anyone with you?
Yes, there was the entity, this man.
Yes.
I still don't know his name.
We do not have names.
Oh, well.
Bashar is not my name. It is a convenience for you, and it is more of a title than a name.
Uh-huh. Well, in any event, the dome was like this. It was like a liquid crystal.
Yes.
It almost felt as if there was like the membrane itself was also a liquid.
In a sense, it is malleable, formable, transmutable.
Then a strange thing happened when I was inside this crystal dome.
Not strange for the crystal.
No, not strange for the crystal, but strange for me.
All right.
When I was inside this crystal dome, there was like an instantaneous shift over to a dome that was made of like raw crystal, rock.
Continue.
And I saw myself within that raw crystal dome, also wearing a crystal headpiece.
Hey.
And it seemed like I was preparing for some kind of dance performance or something.
Oh, in a sense, a connection to more of all that is. Very good. You are in what we will refer to as the prima, which in this way is simply a place in which to connect to all that is, and is left more in what you would call a natural state.
Oh, so that was something on your planet?
Yes.
It was. Oh. I was wondering, it's like in that what you call a prima, there was like wooden seats that reminded me very much of a church. They looked real uncomfortable, and
you would think of the idea as a chapel, but it is not, and those seats are not there. That is simply your projection because of the association you made.
I figured that's what it was.
It is a place for connecting to more of all that is, and hence you would make the association that it is, in your terms, a church, but it is not really.
And the crystal headpiece, was that just an interpretation of mine, or?
In a sense, it is something that is manifestable. Mm-hmm. It is an interpretation, but it is also real as you imagine it to be. In other words, in those terms, the wooden chairs, as you imagine them, also become real, but they do not exist there without your imagination.
Right.
The headpiece does also not exist without your imagination, but once you imagine it, it becomes real.
Oh.
That is the idea behind the prima.
Oh, okay. I have a sense.
Do you understand that there is an entire, now we shall call it a planet, but it is not in the strictest sense in that way. There is an entire planet that functions in this way. A crystal world in which all of your imagination is instantaneously materialized. Many beings partake of that experience.
Well, the reason I asked the question about the crystal headpiece is I've seen crystal headpieces in some of my meditations before.
It is also a reference to the idea of what you call Atalantis.
Okay. And I've also collected some large crystal pieces, and there's a sense that the crystal headpiece has very large crystals in them. So much so that for on this planet it would be very heavy. I mean, like too heavy to wear, but it's as if...
To some degree, although again that is, in your terms, an interpretation.
Okay.
An exaggeration, a sensing of the power.
Okay. Because what I sensed is that, at least I visualize them large, but it's as if they didn't have that kind of weight on my head. No. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm interested in the difference between old age and youth. What is the actual definition of old age?
State of mind, state of being.
So is it because they're failing to learn the lessons and they're sort of slowing down and cogitating on these things?
Not so much. It is simply more that you have an overall mass-conscious belief that as time flows, you age in that way. That you think you become more enfeebled. It is only a belief. It is a product of your beliefs of limitation.
And how do we disconnect ourselves from that belief?
In this way, by simply knowing that all is now, and by living in the moment, you will no longer count your years. Then you will never know how old you are, for you are eternal. And you will simply have a life that is defined by the purposes within it, and when you are done, you will leave. Not because you are infirm, simply because you are done.
Thank you. Do you, in general, not count your years on your planet?
In general.
You do give us a birth.
It is a correlation for you.
Thank you.
Sure!
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Continue.
Thank you. We've chatted in the past about the crystal skull known as the neutral hedges skull. And reports from people who have studied it indicate that it changes color and clarity. And I'm wondering if this is, if it changes the color of the light that is passing through it. Is it light that's projected from the bottom of the skull, or light that's entering the skull from all angles and
all angles, and also it is, in your terms, an atmospheric phenomena and also an energy phenomena.
Okay,
and it is also a perceptual phenomenon.
Does that mean that some people would not perceive it while others would?
Yes.
I see. Is there a physiological change in the crystal that occurs to allow this color change?
Yes.
Something that...
It is more of the idea of identifying or the manifesting of other dimensions to which it is connected. So there is a densified energy and opaqueness.
Okay, now for the changes in color...
different frequencies.
that's clear, but I'm wondering what kind of measurable physiological change takes place in the crystal to allow this, apparently some kind of...
A very minute degree in the vibration of the crystalline structure, the atomic structure. Very minute shifts. You may or may not be able to measure it in that way.
Simply because we don't have fine enough tools to do that?
Also because the shifts take place within the crystal, and not necessarily do they always extend to the outer surface.
I see. Now,
however, magnetic fluctuations might be recorded by you.
Okay, so measuring the magnetic flux or magnetic field around the skull would...
Yes.
Okay. Now, I haven't seen this myself because I haven't actually seen the crystal. In your perception, are these manifestations dramatic? Are they extreme? Or are they just nuances of color shift?
They can be, in your terms, extreme. Sometimes they can be subtle.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes they can actually be what you would recognize, and even in your terms, photograph to be substantial pictures.
Would you elaborate on that, please?
Simply, as I said, you will find that you are able to see images within the skull of people, locations, things like that.
And photograph them.
Yes, it has been done.
I see. And are the color changes and clarity changes also photographable?
Oh, yes, some of them.
Yeah. Let's see. There's also a phenomenon of chimes and...
Yes. Again, different frequencies, different vibrations, as they affect the idea of your own clairaudience, for the most part. Sometimes there will actually be a physiological manifestation as well, again, within the electromagnetic field.
Okay. We normally trace our sound to vibrations in the air emanating from some physical...
Yes. So therefore, the idea of the new frequency of resonance in the electromagnetic field around the skull can create aberrations in the air molecules to give off sound.
Okay, but if we were to measure vibrations, physical vibration of the skull during this these sound manifestations, we wouldn't necessarily pick up vibrations as we know them in sound emanating equipment.
In some cases, you could.
Good, okay.
Although, again, our perception is that the majority of them will be more perceptible in electromagnetic readings.
Which then could tend to confuse somebody who is hearing...
Yeah.
Okay.
Because some of the readings do not always correlate with the physiological phenomena, but only with the clairaudient phenomena.
Yes. However, if someone had a device to measure the electromagnetic radiation shifts, then they may be able to correlate what they're hearing with a physiological...
At times, yes. Although, again, the clairaudient phenomena does not always require an electromagnetic, or let us say a perceivably electromagnetic shift.
Certainly, it would just be a transmission from another dimension. Okay, thank you.
For you!
Bashar?
Yay. Then you.
This last, I guess it was Friday, we were driving up to San Francisco, and south of Monterey on Highway 101, we saw some craft that looked very much, they were like hovering as if they were a helicopter, but much too high to be a helicopter. And I was wondering if those were UFOs.
Obviously, by your definition, they were unidentified. We assume you mean, were they spacecraft?
Were they spacecraft? Yes.
What color, if any, were the lights?
Green and red and white.
No. However, in your extension of your senses, there was connection to energy. That is what gave you the feedback that allowed you to project the idea upon one of your own craft. Follow me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bashar, I have two questions. One is that I've been aware, particularly at night, of waking up in the morning with a great deal of my head like vibrating very, very quickly. But also at the same time, it's almost like a band around, particularly the back of my head at the top of the spine. And I've tried different kinds of experiments to, in a sense, let that go, including having someone like bounce my head around, move my head around, in the sense of just kind of letting go of the energy. A lot of different kinds of things in terms of
what about channeling it?
I feel like I'm blocking it, and I don't know, in a sense, how to unblock it. To allow
Are you doing what you want to do in life?
No, not necessarily.
What do you want to do that you are not doing?
Be able to channel my higher self.
Then
directly.
Do so. Form the connection and you will not feel the constraint. How, in your imagination, do you imagine you can be doing this? What services can you be providing? What can you allow yourself to learn that will give you the opportunity to be comfortable in doing so?
Well, I've been trying to work with...
What?
Working with dreams.
All right.
The dream channel.
All right.
Not judging differences between...
All right, but how can you apply in your physical life this idea? How can you channel it through, not just back into yourself in a closed loop?
I mean, by projecting the dreams out.
What can you do to act them out? Yes. Can you act one out right now?
Act the dream out right now?
That is what I said.
I can't think of any.
Oh, come now. You are among friends.
I feel fear, like a knot in my stomach. So I
All right. You're excited, but you are judging it. So is anxiety instead. You feel the vibration of your path, the vibration of your being, excitement resonating within you, but you judge it, so it becomes fear. But you are feeling it.
Yes.
So trust that. You are in touch with it. You are in touch with your higher self. For to have that energy to begin with, you have to be. The fact that you choose to judge it does not mean it is not there. The fact that you have something to judge means it is.
Yes.
So trust that. The connection is there. Trust it. Trust it. From time to time, as often as you wish, be a little silly. All right?
All right.
Allow yourself to look a little foolish, as long as you are having a good time. All right?
All right.
Now, what else do you wish to do?
In terms of the dream?
Anything at all in life that you feel you are not doing, that you are waiting to do instead of doing.
Film.
I see.
You're waiting.
Why? What is accessible to you now in terms of making film that you can be acting upon now? That will then create an acceleration to the rest of it. What opportunities are open to you now that are every bit just as equally valid a part of film making as anything? Well,
one of the things I'm doing is actually, I am taking actions on my dreams and intuitions that I have as quickly as they occur, as opposed to waiting, planning, scripting, writing, going through the process of filmmaking, which seems very long.
Then you do not enjoy filmmaking.
I don't enjoy waiting.
Do you enjoy filmmaking?
Yes.
Is scripting not a part of filmmaking?
Yes.
Why do you not enjoy it?
It seems to take a long time.
That is because you do not enjoy it. You are considering it is not a part of filmmaking. You think you are not filmmaking. But you are. If that is a part of filmmaking, then writing a script is filmmaking. So you are doing it. In whatever way, at this point, it is open for you to do. When you begin to trust that you are doing it, that is what will allow the rest of it to fall into place. You are the one that's holding it back by assuming that what you are doing is not part of filmmaking. So how can you get the rest of it if you are disconnecting what you are doing from it and creating yourself to be an island? Well, does that make some sense?
It makes some sense. It seems that I am taking a lot of actions, but not. I have again some frustration about a sense of
Again, that is judgment. All frustration is judgment. You are assuming that what you are doing is not something that is a part of what you want to do. You are assuming that what is available to you to do is not what is going to get you where you want to be, when it is where you want to be all the time. You are putting expectations and judgments on the different portions of the filmmaking and not considering them to be a part of the whole. So the rest of the whole is not there. Does that clarify to some degree?
Yes.
Have you communicated with all the individuals that you can communicate with? That if you were, in your estimation, truly making a film, you would automatically go ahead and be in contact with? Or are you waiting until it is more real? Or are you acting as if you truly are making a film? Or are you acting as if you are waiting to make a film?
I got it. Okay.
Thank you. That makes all the difference in the reality.
Yeah.
And each is its own definition, and therefore each is its own reality.
I see.
It is that simple. Thank you.
I got it. Sure.
Yes!
I don't find the, I don't know how to say it. I seem to go back and forth on the same idea for months now, and I just don't get out of it.
It is not the same idea. You are never the same person. You are never looking at it exactly from the same point of view. You are only making an assumption that you are repeating, but you can never repeat. You are always a new you. Allow yourself the understanding that many times an individual, in becoming all the new yous they become, may choose a similar idea and look at it from many different points of view so they can integrate the entire idea. But you are not repeating anything. It is only that the idea is you are judging that makes it seem as if you are repeating, so you do not pay attention to the new things you are getting out of the new perspective. Because you think it is the same old thing, so you don't pay attention.
Yes.
There are differences. They may be, in your terms, subtle. They may not be subtle. But you will never let them be anything more than remote if you continue to assume it is the same event all over again, which it never is.
And what would create the impatience to, like, finally integrate the whole thing? You don't want to hear about it anymore. Yeah.
The idea of impatience comes from the need for patience. If you are enjoying living in the moment, you do not need patience. Patience is the assumption that what you are doing now is not as good as something that's going to come next. So you are focused on the future and not on the present. And that is the only reason you need patience, and that is the only reason you have impatience. Because you are not enjoying what you are doing now, because you are judging that you are doing the same thing all over again, and it is not the same thing.
Well, it's just, ideas. I understand what you mean.
Ideas are reality.
Right. It's just.
Open up your imagination as you have already begun to do by doing things that are, in your terms, new to you. This will then create new perspectives within you that will give you a new background to look at the situation when it occurs again. And you will understand that from your new perspective and the new being you have created yourself to be, the situation is not occurring again. You will see it as a new situation. Because you will now be more recognizing yourself as a new you, because you have been willing to extend yourself in things that you have never done before. Such as your martial art. You follow me?
I do.
It will give you new insights. And then the situations will not seem like the same old ones, because you will be a new consciousness looking at it for the first time.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Bashar.
Hey.
But how about this somewhat analogous situation you're describing there? What happens if you find yourself talking to a person who you find boring? You have a preference to be somewhere else. That can be described in many ways. The person's speed of particle flow, level of acceleration is not something that you...
The term boring is a judgment.
I understand.
The recognition that what they are sharing may not be indicative of the reality you prefer does not mean you cannot learn something from it and be fascinated.
Right, and so what I'm trying to grasp better is the difference between having a preference. In other words, if I find myself in a situation and I decide that I prefer to be someplace else, what's wrong with that, or how does that compare with being in a situation? In other words, what's the difference between preferring a different situation and finding the present situation boring?
In this way, the difference is in recognizing, first of all, that if you are not invalidating what you do not prefer, you will not find it boring. The idea of a preference is to simply recognize that there may be things that are going on that you would wish to do, and you can, in your integrity, in your openness, in your honesty of communication, simply let the other person know that. And simply then be on your way. Without, in your terms, finding that what they had to say was not a help to you, was not fascinating to you, for some reason, was not something you could learn from. You can say, I thank you for the fascinating sharing, that the idea you are expressing in this way allows me more recognition of what I prefer. So at this time, I will be on my way.
So I understand that. So it's possible to have a preference. You're saying prefer what you prefer, and don't, in addition to that, judge what it is that you're not preferring.
Correct.
But clearly you have decided that you prefer it less than something else. I mean...
Not less, just different.
Well, is preference not something which has amount attached to it? I prefer this more than that?
No. It is simply a state of being. It is only a definition of who and what you are.
Well, at now, at this moment of now, whenever we're discussing, I will have a state of being which is defined in many ways, one of which is a preference to be engaged in an activity. Now,
when you find simply that your reality no longer contains that preference, you will not be engaged in that activity automatically. That is the other planet. One moment.
Sorry.
That is the other plane, and do not be sorry, there's no need for it. The idea is simply, again, look at it synchronistically. If you are a particular idea, you cannot attract someone that will, in your terms, have something to say that you can't learn from, that does not fit in with something you want to know. You will only attract those that you will recognize the reflection within.
I agree with you. We've shared that idea often, and nevertheless,
there is no nevertheless. If you find that you are engaged with someone you find boring in your terms, then you are attracting someone to show you that on that level you are still judging. And that is the reality you are defining yourself to be. Otherwise, you could not attract them.
Okay. Is the definition of preference that which you are experiencing?
In a sense, yes.
So, whereas on this planet we tend to say, well, let's see, I'm sitting here talking to somebody who's boring and I'm preferring something else, but in a way that's kind of a misconstruction of what's really occurring, in that you are preferring talking to the boring person.
Again, yes, but paradoxically, once again, the acceptance of the situation as it is happening negates the need for that situation to continue or occur again.
True. So if you have faith...
As soon as you become fascinated by what a boring person is saying, it is no longer boring. And you go on your way. You learn something from it, and never again will you encounter a person that is boring.
Well, not with dissatisfaction on the way things are.
Ace.
But we on this planet, you said that if it were true...
What do you mean, but we on this planet? Is that some sort of a foundation that is supposed to explain something?
No. Let me back up.
All right.
You said that if you prefer... If you're clear about what you prefer, then that will be the experience that you're experiencing.
The idea is this. If you are engaged with someone and you find yourself judging that they are boring, then recognize within yourself, well, wait a minute. Obviously I am co-creating this, I attracted it, therefore, for some reason, it must be what I preferred. How is it that I preferred this? You see, automatically you are absorbed in a fascinating dichotomy within yourself. And perhaps you do not even hear what the person is saying anymore. And then you will get something out of it, and automatically the boring situation will not be boring. And before you know it, it will be over.
I understand that. I'm still fascinated by the experience. The experience.
It is all a paradox, and all you are doing is delineating a very fine line of one particular paradoxical case. The idea, once again, is that when you are in the middle of a situation you find you do not prefer it, the idea is to recognize that it is serving you by letting you recognize that in that way, and the second you recognize that, the situation will conform to what you prefer. Automatically.
But there is a span of time in which that process is evolving.
Oh, are you so impatient you cannot wait a few seconds?
No, no, you misunderstand the intent behind my remark.
Oh, right. Clarify.
I'm observing, merely observing, without judging, that in the process that you describe, you're describing a manner in which to approach a circumstance that many people on this planet perhaps find themselves in. I wonder if people on your planet ever find themselves in a situation and therefore need to go through the process in time that you just described.
Every situation we find ourselves within, we assume is supposed to be there, so we enjoy going through it.
So boredom is not an experience that people on your planet experience?
No. Never. We are far too fascinated by why everything is happening.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bashar?
Yes!
Do people on your planet get suntans?
Not really.
Okay, the reason I'm asking this question is there seems to be a lot of attention, at least in the media, regarding the danger, I will use these terms, that the sun presents to us in getting sunburn with regard to skin cancer and other, immune system deficiencies.
Since the idea of what you call your environment, your atmosphere, your weather is the product of your mass conscious emotionality, let that be your guide. If you feel so raw and exposed, it is no wonder. In this way, we are always nurtured by our environment, therefore never harmed.
Does that mean to say if someone in your society goes out in the sun, they will not have some kind of effect as a result of the radiation from your...
The only effect will be the energizing that is the result.
Okay.
There will be nothing negative.
Okay. Now, it seems to me that there's something significant to this fact that we've chosen to allow our sun, well, let's put this, create the idea that our sun is damaging to our bodies.
Okay.
Can you elaborate on that?
Can you?
Well, to me it ties into this entire cycle that we've been experiencing for the last 15,000 years.
Yes.
It's something that we are seeing an end to, and therefore we're putting attention on the phenomenon that we have created?
To some degree, it is also a symbolic representation to some degree of the idea of, how shall I put it?
I don't know.
Being burned by your brightness.
Okay. Well, it's not simply the fact of sunburn, it's the resultant cancer and immune suppression that...
Take it all symbolically.
Okay.
Not being able to withstand your own power.
Okay.
Judging it.
All right. Well, there seems to be this mass conscious agreement that this is the case. However, I particularly would like to be able to be out in the sun without contracting some kind of a...
Then create and open a conduit and a relationship to it. Be connected in that way to all of nature and allow your naturehood to create the type of atmospheric bubble that will only channel the energy in positive ways.
Okay. The approach there would be to use my imagination to that end.
And your trust and your love.
Well, it takes a lot of trust to...
If you say so.
Okay.
Trust does not come in quantities. It is there or it is not.
Point well taken. The reality that I and people that I associate with find ourselves in is that we are bombarded by the media saying, well, you'll get cancer if you get sunburned too much, etc., etc.
Reflections are all around you.
Uh-huh.
Choose which ones you prefer.
But the reflections seem to say you're going to get cancer if you get sunburned.
Reflections are all around you. Choose which ones you prefer.
Why don't you elaborate on that for me?
If you are able to see such a reflection in your society and create within your imagination that reflection does not have to be true to you, choose which one you wish to listen to.
In other words, just by seeing it as
a reflection in your society that you think is negative is an opportunity to choose the one in you that you prefer.
Yeah.
Just because it is all around you does not mean you have to believe it.
Yeah.
All right then.
Yeah.
It is that simple.
Yeah, then it comes back to the discussion.
Comes back to nothing. It is that simple.
Well, I create the idea that comes back to the
your choice.
Yes, that we've had before about how we can create a belief other than what the mass consciousness believes, and therefore apparently go against. Apparently, I say go against.
Simply stand out.
Yeah.
Shine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sonny.
I used to be Zen.
Bashar?
You!
Thank you. Bashar, in a recent private channeling, I was given the names of two people that I was to meet. One was a space brother and one was on the Earth plane. I've easily tracked down the person on the Earth, and I had this meeting set up for Sunday evening. And is there anything that I can do to make the most of this experience? Should I go by myself? My work is completed here now.
What do you feel?
Well, I feel I should go by myself.
Then trust your instincts. Mm-hmm. That is how to make the most of any experience.
Mm-hmm. And will I be able to communicate in the way that you communicate through this channel?
Do you think you would enjoy that?
I feel blocked at the moment.
Let me know when you think you would enjoy it.
I would enjoy it. I would enjoy it right now.
Then you are not blocked.
Okay, do you have any suggestions as to how I could make the most of this?
The most? How do you imagine it will occur?
I do not know.
If it were to, how do you imagine it would?
Telepathically?
Describe the scenario. What do you do, then what happens?
Put myself in a receptive frame of mind.
Yes. Then what?
Clear myself to put my personality aside.
All right. Then what?
And then trust.
Is that all there is to it?
I think so.
As easy as all that? Well. You'll have no problem. Do you believe it is that easy?
Yes, I do.
Well then, why are you asking me these questions?
Because so far I haven't been able to channel.
Then allow yourself to recognize, first of all, that you are always channeling whatever you need to be channeling, whatever you are comfortable with, and also whatever fits the timing that is best for all concerned. You are not alone in this, you know. Therefore, the rate at which you allow yourself to be comfortable with the idea will be the rate that is comfortable for everyone you are connected with. That will, in your terms, benefit also from your service.
And could the service continue in the area that I've been working in? I direct children's theater.
Why not? Why do you think any idea that attaches itself to you in that way would not be able to participate in what you have defined yourself to be? What purpose would that serve?
Well, my work so far has come to an end. In the next 3 days, it's finished. And
it is never finished. It only transforms. Maybe that is something you can allow yourself to recognize and allow the idea to be easier. Everything only transforms. It does not end. Everything you are doing now, in a sense, is the same energy of everything you have ever done. It only changes its definition. You follow me?
Yes, I do.
Does that assist you?
It does. Thank you very much.
Bashar?
Briefly.
I wanted to explore the idea that you said at the beginning of the imagination, being able to bring anything that's in your imagination into physical reality. That idea is compared to you can have anything you want.
In this way, it is not so much, perhaps in your terms, the confusion, the dichotomy, is that in thinking you must bring something from your imagination into physical reality rather than simply allowing yourself to exist in your imagination.
Can I give an example?
Of course.
Okay, I get excited about the idea of winning contests.
Okay.
I'm excited about the idea of winning a lot of money in contests.
Okay.
For 2 reasons. One is because I have a lot of projects that I'd like to fund, but also because of this, whatever contests mean to me.
You may or may not be missing the point, but go on.
Okay, so
the idea simply is this. When you are excited and all consumed simply by the idea of winning contests, you will win contests, if that is the total reality. When you make an attachment that you need to do so for something else that you are actually more excited about, then the energy does not go to what you are really excited about.
So, is there no reality? Like, I have a dichotomy between wanting money. I also want the project, but I also want the money.
Why do you want the money? To do the project?
Yes, and because I haven't allowed myself yet to experience that vehicle.
So what?
So I have the desire to.
All right. But recognize in your so-called process to experience it, again, it will depend upon where you are actually putting the most energy. And if the projects are actually...
Yeah, I have explored that route, and I still find myself being drawn back to that other desire.
All right, then perhaps you will become very excited about making money. But if you do not expect yourself to be able necessarily, not saying that you can't, but do not expect yourself to be able to use that money for the project. Because the idea you are putting all the excitement behind is simply having money. And if having money is what excites you, you won't be able to use the money. You will only continue to have it.
So then you're saying if I want to use it for the project, that's a whole separate, I have to hold a separate...
The idea is to do and act upon where the highest level of energy and excitement is. And not to connect things that do not necessarily need to be connected to get from here to there to there to there. Each is its own separate, equal, experiential idea. Recognize, therefore, that is why there have been certain individuals in your society who have been excited about nothing as so much as simply having money. They had all the money they wanted and, in your terms, died poor because they did not do anything with it. They simply hoarded it. They never knew how to do anything with it because having the money was all that ever excited them, so they had it. And they died not using it.
So I have both ideas. It feels to me like I have both ideas.
All right, and you can. Again, all I am saying is that you can do whatever you want. Do not necessarily expect that one will connect to another. You follow me? They may, but they may not. You may have the money, and you may have the project, and the money may not fund the project. Something else might, or money from somewhere else might. It may be kept separate. It may not.
Even if the excitement to me is getting the money and funding the project.
I understand what you are saying as a single idea, but recognize that you are also dealing with the idea of what your beliefs actually are within the mass consciousness. And all I am saying is that it is not that you cannot have that as one idea, but simply recognize that if it does not occur that way, then the stronger beliefs within you are the ones that are contained within the mass consciousness, that these things are, in that way, two separate ideas, and the energy directed to each of them is its own separate energy. Not that you cannot have the idea of making the money and using the money to do the project, if that is what excites you. It is simply up to you to determine whether or not that actually is one idea within your belief systems or two. You will find out, obviously.
So you can just want to have a lot of money, just spend it.
You can want to have a lot of money. You can want to spend a lot of money. That can be two ideas as well. For recognize that spending money is not having money. And what you call millionaires many times are millionaires because of the amount of cash flowing, not staying.
Right.
You may all take a short break, and upon recommencement, there will be, not only for you, Stephen, but also for many of you in this way, an ancient message.
Yeah.
All right, I'll say. Are you all gathered?
Yes.
Then allow me in this way to begin facilitation for another. One moment. As I have been instructed to do, I will send you greetings. Greetings. Allow, first of all, for there to be the indication that the perception of what I have just experienced is something that is strange for me. And I am not entirely sure that what I have been told is occurring is in fact occurring. But in this way, I find that though it seems I am speaking to no one, I must trust in who I have met, who has referred to himself as the commander, that such an interaction is going on. Therefore, I will assume that I am speaking, that you are hearing. Receiving you, for me, is subtle. I was told by the self-same individual, the commander, that it would be, yet it is in this way, not something still that is more than enough to be, in your terms, sure that the idea of the interaction is taking place. Yet again, I will place my trust, as I have been told to do, and assume that the message is getting through. I have been told, therefore, things which again are strange to me, yet I have chosen to be party to this idea. Therefore, I must assume again reliability upon the information I have received, in that the information does come from what I have come to recognize as a source, in that way inexplicable within the system with which I am familiar. And in this way, the being does represent, as he says, the idea of something through time, from a time closer to, I will assume, your own, the beings that are supposed to be receiving this communication. In this way, I have been told that I will be communicating to those I have known, though I have been told things I do not understand, such as the like that those individuals, as you call yourselves in this way, who I assume to be receiving this information, will then at this time be not the individuals I have known, as I have known them, nor are you, as I have been told, supposed to remember who you are. Thus, in this way, even for you, this contact, if it is indeed taking place, without my feeling too foolish, I will still assume that there is some content within the conversations you have been having with the commander that perhaps will enlighten you to a certain extent, perhaps even more than I have been enlightened. I will therefore simply make the assumption once again the idea is occurring, as I have been told that it is, across what you would call the idea of 175,000 years of time. And I will assume, as I have also been told, that the idea of this communication, though it be going on in what I consider to be my present, is reaching 175,000 years ahead of time, as I count, as you count, I assume, something similar in that way. And that the message is being delivered and received not in my present time, since you are not there, but in the time when you are, regardless of the idea of where I should be now and where you should be now. In this way, allow me then, should this truly be occurring, for it brings me joy to think that it might, the idea that I send you the greetings once again and the dearest wishes in the hopes that your endeavor has been successful as you have created it. For in this way, you will find that I have been told you refer to the idea of where I find myself and where I know you once existed in your terminologies as something I have been told to refer to as Orion. In this way, you will find that much has transpired since your leaving. And in this way, you will find that only a few recognize that you have left at this time. Though again, not to be confusing, I will assume that much time has passed by your reckoning, and that there will be many more individuals who will be aware of what I am speaking of now, though I find myself to be quite alone in this understanding with all whom I talk to. The idea shall be in that way. I have been told that there are several among you in this way, in your society, as you call yourselves, whatever society, by whatever name at this time, who are now recognizing and remembering the idea of connections to many places here among them. And in this way, what I used to refer to as my colleagues shall no longer be those that even remember themselves, but I will still entrust that you are the same colleagues who left, and I will talk to you as such, for that is the only way surely that I can make sense of the conversation. Therefore, once again, to begin, without the preamble, I send you greetings, and you may in this way refer to me by reckoning as Naaman. In this sense, I am told that you would understand in your present reckoning the idea of what I am best by referring to the idea something akin to priesthood. Although I am told to clarify that this is not literally the case in your terms, but it will do. I am told I may share with you the idea of the sending of this information now to express that. The idea of your leaving the Orion systems, as you call it, will be representative of your willingness to continue the idea of reaching beyond what you have recognized as a great deal of suppression within the systems. And in this way, again, I can only hope that you are successful, that you have arrived where you have deemed yourself to be. That will do you the most good in the completion of your journey, wherever it should be, although once again, though I am not unfamiliar with the ideas that are referred to by this commander as afterlife, some of the ideas, again, of reincarnation that he has described to me by that terminology are in terms I do not understand or am I familiar with, but I will assume once again that you have lived many lives by the time you receive this message, and that in the living of this many lives you have, in some sense, according to the understanding I have, worked through the ideas that you tended to work through by relocating yourselves to a point at least enough to receive this communication, should this communication be any measure of anything at all. I am not certain, but perhaps it will make more sense to you. I have simply been told in this way that in the position I shared with you all at that time, it will have some bearing on the idea of forming connections for yourself. And so I willingly grant in my hopes, in my desires for your success, that what small part I may play may reach you across the span of ages and bolster and support your cause. For in this way, many of you again were colleagues, either that I have known as contemporaries, or in this way the idea of individuals who are known to me. What I have been instructed to share at this time, and there seems to be that there are certain individuals to whom this may or may not relegate more sense, but to all of you it does apply, all who are supposedly present and listening to this communication, that there is within the idea of what you are referring to as the Orion systems, and the idea of the presence of what will be, I am told, your recognition of creation now, from our point of view, to remind you of your heritage, what is referred to as 3 primes. I have been told that in your vernacular it will translate into the terms Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. In this way it will represent to you something that is referred to as sorcery. In this sense, it is recognized in this way as simply the action of the 3 primes of the fundamental triad consciousness, as we recognize all symbols within the Orion system in that way to be representative of our heritage within this fundamental understanding of what you would call religion. In this sense, I have been told that you have taken much of this baggage with you, but you have applied it in ways that are more in reference to the system you now find yourselves within, and so it has not been understood for what it was, the actual interaction of your mentality, personality, consciousness upon the primal energy in this way, exemplified in what the commander has termed an archetypal energy flow of your subconscious stream. The idea, therefore, simply being, if I may assume that I am simplifying anything, since this and some of the terminology, again, is outside of my experience, that the idea of the formation of what you call polarities within yourself, positive, negative, when blended into a third persona that is neither and both, all three together will form the interaction in mentality that will actually create an effect in the electromagnetic field of the planet in which you now reside. And in this way, this effect, I am told, in what you refer to as your history, will have been referred to as magic. This is simply, again, I am told, to relate the idea of the interaction of your mentality individually with the primal field of mentality that represents the idea of your entire civilization. It is a personification of the mass consciousness through an individual. I am told to repeat this. Magic is the personification of the mass consciousness through an individual. In this way, you will find, therefore, that each individual, by blending the polarities and becoming the third identity, becomes a reservoir and a wealth of all that is possible within any particular system or universal or tangent that you find yourself now. I, in my priestly endeavors, have sought to have some measure of understanding of these ideas within our systems, our home systems. I understand the idea that you have reached out to form scenarios that will allow you the recognition of not necessarily needing the suppression this time to go along with the utilization of these abilities. In this way, therefore, you have removed yourself from a universal time track system, and this removal has allowed you to experience the pure nature of this interaction without the idea of the burden of the mass consciousness of domination and suppression that has been within our systems for so long. Again, I can only assume that what I am perceiving in terms of the idea that you are hearing any of this is real, even though it is most subtle within my imagination. But once again, I must rely upon the information from the commander, as he calls himself. In this way, I am instructed that I am to hold some sort of paternal image for you. Not that this is a calling that I have asked for in that way, but simply that I would treat you as the friends I have known, and in this way have formed for you, simply through my love for you, my willingness for your success, the idea of an anchor for you in the home system, so that, again, this message as it is being delivered is something that can be allowed into your system as a reflection to allow you to know that you are forming the connections you need to be forming. Again, I can only hope that this has been of some service and that I have played my part for you in this way. I have been told that I may continue to send from time to time these interactions. I have been told that you will receive them, and it is this belief, it is this trust, and it is this hope that you will that gives me even the shred of willingness to act in this manner, so unlike that of our society, to assume in this way that mentality can be bridged, can be linked up in ways that are not, in your terms, the property of the mass, that are not in this way privy to our communication. For there would be in this way, should I even believe for a second, had I not been patronized enough and convinced enough by your so-called friend that such was the case, then I would fear for my life. But my love for you in this way will transcend this to some extent. And I must only trust that the idea of this love is in and of itself a conduit that in your terms is pure enough to remove all doubt, to remove all of what you would call eavesdropping. And that there will be for you a clearness of communication. I am told, therefore, at this time, to simply extend to you my thoughts and my wishes for your well-being. And I am told that I will, in some form, have the opportunity to meet you all again on some other stage. I will take this to heart as I bid you my leave. Message received. Yes. We thank you for the opportunity in this way of the completion of a cycle and the beginning of many new interactions and doorways that shall be opening, to allow there to be the further acceleration, so that you may blend the idea of the past you are creating in the present with the present, and create again the future you desire in the now. We thank you for your release. We thank you for your willingness to allow there to be the reflections in your life that you have all chosen to place within you. Sure!
Bashar.
You.
The connection went through many areas. In this life, through Meshach and Abednego, strangely enough, at Disneyland with the Ward Gospel Singers, and then earlier through dozens of beingnesses of magic, and the connection was the cleanest that I have yet experienced. Thank you.
We thank you. Sure.
Bashar.
You.
How are you able to be in communication with that beingness? How do you communicate with him?
In much the same way that I communicate with you, but in this way it took a little more. There was the allowance in this way of a physical visit.
You physically manifested before him?
Yes.
I see. Was that a surprise to him?
Oh, yes.
Because it doesn't occur in his system?
Not so much, no.
Uh-huh. He said that he would fear for his life if, as I understood it, if anybody knew that what he was doing, he would be in jeopardy of his life.
Yes. However, that did not occur.
Good. I found the experience fascinating and wonderful, aside from the message that was delivered, in the reflection of how some of us have uncertainty when we communicate with others telepathically.
Hey.
We're going, gee, now I'm putting this in my imagination and I'm trusting that it's happening, but geez, I don't know if it's being received. And this experience with us being on the opposite end of our communications when we use our imagination to transmit.
Yes.
Fascinating reflection.
Thank you for the allowance of the co-creation.
Certainly.
Sure.
Bashar?
You. Then female.
Is that me over here?
Right.
Was the entity who spoke to us connected to you in a similar way that you and Daryl are connected?
A different way, a different route, a different track altogether.
Not an earlier self, a past self?
Not exactly so much in the same way. Not such a strong connection, more of a generalized one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bashar.
Yes.
It sounded like the fact that he was afraid for his life, that he was involved still in the old energy of the dominance that we all came away from.
Yes, he is, in your terms, still there.
Still there.
In terms of 175,000 years ago from whence the message came. Not now is he still there, but from whence the message came, he is still there.
Right. So what we are doing then is the
the transformation from that type of energy.
Dave.
Does he understand what we're doing?
Not clearly. But his wishes are with you. And in this way, what you have done has made a difference. Back there.
Right.
And in this way, at this time, that individual, in the life in which that individual lives now, back there, is part and parcel of a dramatic change within those systems. For there is now, as there was not then, life in those systems.
Which planet was he from?
In this way, you will find it will be the general idea of the Orion systems, not particular planet in that way. For there will have been travel from planet to planet.
I have a planet.
There was, in this sense, a transliteration at the time the message was delivered, for there to be the origin point of the message from a planet within the systems that would translate into your vibrations as Huva.
What is the relation of Huva to Mintakas?
In this way, you will find that Mintaka will be the star close to which was the idea of the dark crystal moon that was utilized by the resistance to the suppression.
And did we come from Mintaka?
Many are from the resistance, and strong connections abound.
Bashar?
Bashar?
Will that have served you?
Yes, thank you.
Hey, one moment.
The individual was there then, has left in the intervening 175,000 years.
As I have said, the individual is now in a new life, still within the system, and is partaking of the interactions of beings that are now within life, within those systems.
So he did not leave as we did.
No. He stayed to form an anchor and a foundation in many lives paralleling your own, so that there would be someone to receive the communication that you had learned, that you are sending back there, so that there can be growth paralleling your growth within the Orion systems.
Got it.
Bashar, what did he mean?
One moment. Mary!
Yes, I'm very excited about this because my little girl has been singing a song in another language that has the word Mishak. Anyway, those three words. Shadrach and and she's been collecting rocks and just changing all over the place.
Hey.
And I personally channeled a picture that has a triad at the top.
Hey.
And there are 3 small circles that go from the top to the bottom. There is a circle at the bottom with a star in the middle. I'm supposed to be standing on the star. There is below this circle with the star on it, there is like a zigzag semicircle. And I finally got a little bit of what this is about, but I'm wondering if you could shed some more light because I feel like there's still more.
What did you get? There is much more, but what did you get?
What I got was, well, actually the communication that occurred tonight. Also what I got originally was what he brought up with the individual on this kind of fourth or on this plane, actually changing things in kind of a metaphysical manner, not like in a physical manner, but like to, just like a mass realization, And that's what he brought up too, and that I did get that.
All right. There are many other connections that you can share with many individuals that you are surrounded with this night of your time when you have the opportunity. Interact, update yourself, and we will discuss this at another time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Jerry.
What density was were the individuals 175,000 years ago in the Orion systems, and what density?
Third.
And what density are they in now?
Again, third transitional force.
So they're actually parallel.
Yes. Bashar? What did he technically mean by lose his life? What's the technical explanation of that?
Technical.
Well, what's very practical?
The idea is simply that communication outside of that which is recognized within the mass consciousness of those systems is not allowed and is punishable by death.
But death to what?
His body.
Was that a great consequence?
To him.
Can you practically describe what you mean by no light within the system? How
the idea of systems suppressing its populace. Governments of suppression. All interaction being that which dominates and seeks only to dominate others.
Is that similar to our communist system?
No.
What's the difference?
It is more akin to what you would call fascism.
More like in a fascist system than there is in a communist system, sure.
Why?
Well, fascism is authoritarian, communism is totalitarian.
In this way, recognize the ideas are not so pat, and there are many versions of the idea of communism and fascism. But simply in this way, you will find that the idea is that there is only contained within the hierarchy that is set up the only authority that has any say of anything within those systems.
But how does that differ from a communist?
For in this way, you will find that the idea is not even remotely there of attempting to assume that working together will achieve anything. The idea is only that there are a few under which all shall work only for their gratification. You follow me?
Well, I follow you, but I see that the communist system is that system. It just doesn't state with that.
Not exactly and not entirely as you understand it. Again, there is within the individuals within the system the belief that the idea of the way in which they are working together, whether it is in your terms idealized or not, is still representative of the ideal that they hold.
May I offer a clarification?
Yes.
Communism actually is an economic system which is grounded in the idea of communal support and working together. Totalitarianism is a political system which does relate to one group or person suppressing the others or controlling the others beneath. So communism that we experience isn't exactly the totalitarianism that goes along with it in the Soviet Union.
But it's had the worst record compared with fascism.
Well, yeah. In fact, what the totalitarianism that we experience in the Soviet Union, communism gets the bad name because of the totalitarianism that's going along with it. It's not the communism that's really.
In other words, we are simply in this way responding that the primary definition, as has been pointed out, of what you are referring to as communism is not what is going on.
I didn't say our communism.
In this way, again, there are many forms of communism even upon your planet.
But communism has such an atrocious record as far as killing people and controlling them. It's far, far worse than the fascist record.
And what about democracy?
Democracy doesn't even come close to communism in the last 40 years. They've wiped out 40 or 50 million people. Democracy has not done that.
Is, in your terms, the death of 40 worse than the death of 1?
Well, I'm trying to clarify that. I don't know.
All right.
I'm trying to see what...
In this way, it is much all the same. All we are saying, in your terms, is that without becoming confused in labels, the idea we are defining of the majority of the Orion systems is simply that the individuals that are being suppressed do not even have within them the belief that they are being suppressed for any particular reason that is going to benefit them.
Okay, so it's just a slight...
Yes.
Bashar?
Hey.
Sure.
Was he talking as if, since he was third density, and he was talking as a priest? was he conscious of what he was doing, or was he dreaming?
Conscious. Again. Allow an assistant to be put into a trance-like state, a daydream state, but still very aware of what was going on.
Okay, so he has somebody with him.
Yes. Me. I am to whom he was referring as the commander.
Oh, I know that. Yes, I realize that. I didn't know that you were there specifically at the time he was transmitting the message. I thought you had gone there and then left, and then he transmitted the message.
I would not do that to him.
No.
All right. Well, I'm sorry. I didn't.
Oh, do not be sorry.
Yeah. Okay. And now, at this time, is he aware of what he did then?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Bashar. Yes. Would it be endanger his current existence that parallels ours right now for me to, or anyone to communicate with him at this time?
No.
No problem.
For he is within the light.
Very good. Thank you.
And this is now an opportunity that is open.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bashar?
Bashar? Yes, I would like to ask a few what are probably fairly naive questions.
Do not judge.
Okay, I won't. The first one is perhaps you can clarify for me that if he's existing in present time now, why?
Not the one in the form you receive the communication from.
Right. But I don't understand why or how, for what purpose there was a communication from 175,000 years ago.
It is simply because you are not connected to that series of events as some other individuals are.
Okay. Like I said, it was probably a naive question. And perhaps you could sort of explain or just put it in some kind of understandable framework for me why this came through now. I mean,
because now is the timing for the recognition and the opening of areas and doorways within certain individuals. It is the receiving of a message they had sent to themselves so very long ago.
I see. Thank you.
Yes.
Can you communicate with the being and thank him and acknowledge that we did receive his communication and have
I have told him that you did receive it and that you were very grateful. But yet again, it is his choice to doubt whether or not you truly have gotten it.
We'd like to communicate the gratitude and understanding of the profundity of his love to agree to do what you said.
I have already done so.
Thank you.
I did not have any conscious recognition of this message, but I had a sense that on another level this was really powerful. And I'm not certain how would I know.
You simply have recognized it according to whatever level you are functioning within for now. As you have recognized it, that is as far as you need to recognize it for now. For we do not want it to interfere in the path you have chosen to be, nor stop you from doing what you are more natural at doing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. I am excited by the idea of helping, responding to this being in the way that he appealed to us. I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you. Again, recognize that the idea is that being turned out just fine.
Yep.
Your willingness to be who and what you are and where and when you are has been what has assisted him, and now he knows that. Sharing.
Bashar? Last week we chatted about my relationship with the 10-year-old youngster. And when I saw her the next time after speaking with you, there had been what I perceived to be a dramatic shift. After my understanding of our relationship in the past has been broadened, and it was quite, I'll say, miraculous.
All right.
And quite enjoyable.
Okay.
I haven't done the thing with the gloves and the lace handkerchief yet.
That is all right.
That's to come. But it was a dramatic shift, and it was just quite obvious. Thank you very much.
Thank you for making the shift within yourself so that your reality could reflect it.
You're very welcome.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Good.
One having to do with the primus.
Hey.
When you were talking about that, I just got an interesting thought about that. And using that as a tool to contact intelligent infinity.
Hey.
Okay, thank you. The other thing was a few weeks ago, Leah mentioned that our physicist ran across some discovery of some information of some sort having to do with the Golden Nebula, which shocked them, I suppose, or had them realize that their ideas about the universe were really not exactly the way the universe is. Can you elaborate on that? Because I don't really understand what she meant by that.
Simply, they are beginning to discover that there is a primal doorway, let us say a grand primer, around which the entire universe that you are familiar with revolves.
Okay, and how did they happen to discover this? Were they monitoring this?
They were, in your terms, making measurements, and the readings surprised them. And they could only conclude certain ideas from those readings, and those conclusions were unlike anything they had ever expected.
Can you elaborate on maybe what one of those conclusions might have been that they came to?
That they know nothing of what they thought they knew.
What do they believe that they discovered?
They are not sure. But it is something that allows them to know that it is time once again to rewrite all the equations. For it simply is not so much that they know what it is they have discovered, but they recognize that whatever it is does not fit.
Okay.
Where is what they discovered? In our relational terms.
This, in your terms, is not clear, nor is it clear to them. Though that may sound funny to you. They have discovered something, and in a sense, they do not really know where it is.
But not in our galaxy.
No. Not in any galaxy. But that all galaxies revolve around it. All galaxies. That is how big it is.
Bashar?
To some degree. Okay.
Is what they've touched on, will what they've touched on eventually lead in the direction of their recognition of the necessity of including the concept of consciousness in mathematical equations?
It can.
But is that the doorway they've opened up?
It is one opportunity. It is a very strong opportunity.
I was trying to be more particular about that which they contacted.
It has many probable applications because of what it is, being a doorway to the infinite. Whatever sense they choose to make of it will be how they choose to recognize it.
But then specifically what it was a doorway to infinite intelligence.
Okay. The one, let us say, the valve to infinite intelligence, and from infinite intelligence that manifests what you call your particular universe.
Got it.
Okay.
We had an experience a week and a half ago where we went through a time warp. And when this happened, time basically stood still. And we were explained afterwards that the blue star Kachina was stalking us, and we stalking it.
In a sense, that is an analogy for the relationship you had formed to the concept of the universe, which allowed you to experience the idea of the cessation of time. For discovery of that portion or that connection of yourself to your greater infinite intelligence will always take place in the twinkling of an eye. And you are, in that sense, stalking yourself, discovering yourself, and allowing yourself to be discovered by all that is. Are you through?
This particular kachina has been explained to us to be a kachina that only appears very seldom, but has appeared before each of the world wars and is now dancing in the plazas again. It is a black kachina with a thunder symbol on it, lightning symbol, and is symbolizing our use of power. And that we have choices at the point that it stands in the plaza.
Yes, and there is also always the blue-white kachina, which can be the polarity. It is your choice.
That is the one that is related to it. The other one is
is that the star chasing kachina?
It's called the star chasing kachina that's in combination.
Okay.
Why, when they said that it appears in dreams and other occurrences with certain people, it has something to do with being herald.
Okay.
Are we associated with it as heralds?
Okay. Harbingers of the momentum of your mass consciousness, the directions in which it flows, so that you can choose what you prefer. Associate with what you will. That will be the reality and the dimension that you will experience. For the kachina energy also specifically is the type of energy that actually associates with you and you associate with to actually form. The kachinas, in a sense, are the mechanism embodied in consciousness that actually forms the parallel universe after your choice. They are lively beings. We enjoy them very much. They represent a specific degree of quasi-planar consciousness, and our civilization has yet to understand them fully, but enjoy them we do. They are, in a sense, not to be flippant, a very specific type of extraterrestrial, a very specific type. Thank you.
Thank you.
Allow yourselves to be thunder dreamers and follow the star Sirius in your chasing. All right? There's a suggestion. Use it as you will.
Thank you.
I recently had an experience of what I would feel to be channeling. It's never come about in my life before, and I was wondering if that was myself or was that someone trying to come through me. I didn't allow it to. I felt I didn't want to be.
Simply this: nothing happens without your agreement. First of all, remember that. Secondly, it will always only happen at a rate you are comfortable with, otherwise it would serve no purpose. You follow me?
Yeah.
Therefore, recognize it is both a portion of your consciousness and other consciousness, but it is all one. And in this way, be comfortable with it on whatever level you choose to be comfortable with it. You always are channeling yourself anyway. Be comfortable with that. Do what excites you. be of service, live and love. And that will all, part and parcel, go into all that is necessary for you to channel how and what you need to channel. You do not even have to make it a channeling scenario, but simply life itself is channeling.
Okay.
Relax within yourself. Love yourself for who and what you are and the way you are. And then, however you choose to be will also be all right. All that you can possibly discover within your fear is more of yourself to love. All right? Thank you very much for your willingness to share, for that willingness already has made a difference and opened the door. Pleasant dreams. Yes?
This is my first visit with you, and I don't really know exactly what I'm looking for except a little inner peace.
A little inner peace. Just a little. All right. Time's up.
I've had quite an experience this past week. While I was away on vacation, I came back and found out that my brother was on a vacation himself.
All right.
And went river rafting and fell into the river, and he hasn't been seen or heard of since. I don't necessarily want to accept the fact that he may be gone away from me.
He
away
is
from
not.
Mark.
No matter what definition, no matter what transformation.
From his personal,
Why not?
Maybe it's a little selfishness that I really do want to be able to communicate with him.
You can.
But on the same level as we've always been able to communicate.
How and what level is that?
I don't know.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
In your terms, am I being too hard on you?
No. I just really don't know which way to confront this, because I feel like I'm going through a lot of sorrow right now.
Yes. Releasing.
Yeah. And
it is not that you need a confrontation, but the allowance of the release.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I have been releasing from. I think the reason why I don't want to release is because I feel as though when I release, I'm feeling that maybe he's already gone from me in a physical. God, I don't even know how to explain.
All right, we understand. In this way, may I ask you another question?
Yes.
Can you allow within your imagination yourself to perceive that non-physicality on his part might be the fulfillment of the agreement you have with him?
Quite possibly.
So that what it is you now wish to communicate about can be communicated from him to you.
But I don't even know if he is. I feel like I'm just floating. I don't know if for some reason he has, drowned, if he is drowning or has drowned, if he went through any kind of pain. I mean, I don't know if
What is your time frame for what you call the disappearance?
It has been since last Saturday, which has been a week and a half.
Then give it 1.5 weeks more.
Okay, and so I still stay in the same frame for a week and a half more?
That frame, that limbo state, is what will disconnect you from certain realities and allow you to connect up to other realities later. What you are experiencing now is necessary so that you will have the opportunity to experience forms of communication you had not allowed yourself to experience previously. Love all that you are and love all that he is. 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 Is.
Okay. I understand.
May I tell you something else?
Yes, please.
We love you very much. And you are loved very much.
Thank you.
Allow that love to become tangible. Mold it. Use it. Breathe it. Create with it. Expand with it. Give it. Send it out. Extend it. And receive it. In whatever way it comes. You also have an opportunity to some degree, because this is not primarily our place nor our purpose, but you have an opportunity to some degree to discuss with either what you would call another entity or another individual upon your planet according to their sensitivities about the situation, what you need to know. You will find them, if you haven't already, within the next few days. All right?
All right.
There may be recommendations. Trust your instincts. Trust your instincts. Feel, upon hearing recommendations of perhaps who to acquire information from, feel the vibration of your brother and apply your understanding and your intuition and your instinct of which one your brother would choose. All right?
All right.
And trust that that reliance is actually communication. All right?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have danced this dance many times before.
If I have, it's never been to this. That's the song.
This is the transformational life. The tempo is accelerated. But you have done it before together many times. Such is the extent of your trust and your love that you truly have no fear of any outcome. There will also be the discovery of connections to consciousness that abides in water.
Bashar.
Yes.
Trace with me, reflect with me the experience with the Ward Gospel Singers at the Disneyland, the phrase, the Lord come down and he say to Noah, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. There's a point of integration there where many factors came together.
Hey.
Where did they pick up that, what was the historical origin of that phrase connected to that group?
Again, in this way, a strong exemplification of the remembrance, although only subconsciously, of Orion understandings, Orion connections in what you call your Middle East.
Okay, I see the connection. Now we got a black group there. Doing a reflection on that energy.
In a sense, but it is in your terms very ancient.
Good. Where did they pick it up biblically? What's the biblical trace line that came through this culture on that phrase? The Lord come down and they say.
Again, simply connections to some degree with the original Orion energy in that way, a direct connection, and a recognition in whatever way was translatable recognizing this way, there is, even within what you call the idea, commandments, some Orion influence. For no idea of all that is, in a positive manifestation, ever translates out to thou shalt not. Thus it was the introduction of an idea so that there would be dichotomy in the idea that was presented.
Thank you. I think I follow reflections.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go.
You!
I have a question about computers.
Hey.
I've been a computer programmer for a couple of years, and I've not been. I didn't choose computers to go into it because I loved it. I chose it because it would provide me with security.
Do you love security?
No, but it was the value of my parents, and I picked
All
it
right.
as a necessity.
Who are you now, and what are your values? And what do you love?
What I love now is my dreaming and my writing.
Yes.
And
your own computing.
Yes, my own computing. What I'm curious about is what the reflection of the computers, whether they should be incorporated into my life.
They can be. It is up to you. They are reflections to us of a symbolic embodiment of communication with your higher consciousness in a form you will allow to be real.
So in other words, the multifaceting
Yes.
aspects of it.
Yes. And when, literally, you develop the idea, as we have said, of artificial intelligence, you will find you are talking to yourself. As we discovered.
That brings up another issue. There's another entity, Lazarus, and the group that surrounds Lazarus is at the moment trying to, quote unquote, break the system, which would allow them to have, rather than fewer people speaking to Lazarus individually, now that more people are interested to have more people satisfied and happy. And I was wondering if there's any way to use computers in the way you use computers to communicate with Lazarus, increase in other words, to break the system.
You are a computer. You can use whatever symbolic extension of yourself you wish to, according to how your imagination creates it, but you are the computer. And you are as accelerated as you need to be to achieve that.
Well, I'm not sure that I understand how that applies.
Define your specific intention.
Well, for example, the way you communicate to us through your use of what I heard you describe as a computer, using the imagination. Would it be possible for us to create something like that here in order to communicate with Lazarus? It would be possible to do that.
However, your technology has not been applied in that area.
So it's a matter of somebody interested enough and excited enough to apply that technology. Okay.
Now, have you asked Lazarus?
No, I haven't asked for Lazarus.
Then since you thought of it, you go ask. Perhaps Lazarus will be able to tell you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Say hi.
You. I've been hearing about the beings that are in the inner earth. Excuse me. And I was wondering, and supposedly our government knows about them, and they.
This is all I will say for now. They exist, but they exist in another dimensionality that is not exactly your dimensionality. So they are there, and they are not there. You have to change the frequency of your vibration in order to experience them. The inner earth you will be in then is not exactly the inner earth of your own earth in the same frequency as you are in now. That is all.
Bashar? I have, and so have a few of my friends, been experiencing what seems to be the perception of an earthquake, very subtle tremors, and I was just wondering what that was. And yet you don't hear on the news that we had an earthquake.
Understand in this way, there may be in your terms localized tremors in that sense that are not announced. There may also simply be the recognition of vibrational shiftings within you, equilibrium shifts that may feel like quakes, or other vibrations going on that simply only translate locally.
Well, it could be a perception of what Steve and I have been going through for the last week.
Define.
The tremors. We're preparing to duplicate this energy.
All right. That is also plausible.
Bashar.
Yay.
You were talking before about how the Bible states things in a negative sense. Is there any way you can state in a positive sense the highest truth by which we shall live?
Very simply, the truth is composed of all truths.
So it's the acceptance of non-resistance.
Yes. Yeah. And unconditional love, trust and faith is all there is. How's that?
Pretty good. I don't know. It leaves me confused in a practical sense.
All right. How's that?
Well, I went to England and I had a fantastic time socially. But it's like a spiritual desert. I come back here and it's like this is where it's happening, but I don't have quite as good a time. So.
What you are saying is that since you cannot find what you want, you now have a sparkling opportunity to create it.
But by which should I just do the thing that feels good?
Should? Yes. Fill your desert with life-giving water.
Oh, it rains a lot there.
Then soak it up. Thank you! There will be, in your terms, a few moments remaining for this interaction.
Bashar.
Yes.
I just wanted to share one thing. When the Orion person came through, I immediately knew him. It was kind of a neat experience. And I also was, the channel to the space you two were in was very real to me. And then I've been on a whole thing on it since then. And
a whole thing. All
that skips detail. So just it opened a lot of windows for me.
Well, thank you for opening them up and letting the sunshine in.
Okay. And one little quick question. There seems to be the experience. I'm going to be delivering my third baby next week, and there seems to be the.
To where?
Just kidding. You know, it doesn't. I don't understand why there should be pain in the.
There does not have to be. All pain, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, is the product of judgment and separation of a portion of yourself from the rest of all that you are. An avoidance of the experience on many different levels, and simply the product of many things you have been ingrained to believe. Get in touch with the consciousness to be born, co-create the birth with the consciousness, and you will be absorbed in communication, so absorbed you will not notice the birth will be over before you know it.
Wow. Oh, no, wait. Really?
No, I am kidding.
Think slippery.
In other words, let the baby help with its own delivery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Good. Okay. Oh, can I ask one little question?
I'm waiting.
This baby, where's he from?
You.
Oh, I mean the being.
Everywhere and nowhere. No labels.
Okay.
No. For now.
Yeah.
Let it be born whole.
Labeled.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, that clarifies a lot. Thank you.
Name him all that is.
Nothing that ain't.
Creative polarity. Thank you, Strawberry. Briefly.
A very brief one. I heard in the tapes you were talking about cats over the last few weeks, and on Tuesday evening, I went to a home of two medicine women that live out in La Crescenta, and they were complaining because their cats keep disappearing. Like 5 or 6 cats kept walking away, or maybe getting eaten by coyotes, or this and that and the other. And they said, "Does anybody have any idea of why their cats are disappearing so quickly?"
Well, all animals.
What?
Why not cats? Because now the audience, when people eat them.
Hungry also.
Now, you have said they are medicine women.
Yes.
What does that mean to them?
So the disappearance of the cat,
What does being medicine women mean to them?
What it means also that they have a special relationship to animals.
All right.
So I think it's very disturbing to them that they're...
Then why are they co-creating it?
I was wondering the same thing.
Do they feel that their connection to animals is more special than their connection to people?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Do they feel that being medicine woman means that they must deal only with fragments of other people? Or do they perceive that they are dealing with whole individuals? Do they feel themselves in dealing with other individuals to be fractionated? Do you know any of this?
I think there's some fractionation on their part.
One moment.
You never did TR3, did you, Bashar?
I do not drive cars. Or is that a drug?
No, it's a drill that teaches you always to get an answer to the question you ask before you ask a second one.
I see.
That was a joke.
Oh.
Go ahead, Joey.
Did you take it?
I loved it. Yeah, I did. I didn't learn it either.
My suggestion for your medicine women.
One of them, by the way,
Yes.
closer. The one that was complaining, I think, is closer to her dogs than to people.
All right.
She has 2 wonderful black dogs.
At any rate,
What are you concerned about the cat?
the idea, allow them to become feline, follow the trail, use their instincts. When they discover where they have gone, by being feline, they will know why. Because they will find themselves in the same place, and if they are willing to face the fear that they will generate by being in that state of being, they will break through to another side and another aspect of their power. Follow, in a sense, follow the disappearances by disappearing down the same hole and re-emerging in another portion of the self. Relate to the idea of the transformational power of nature, as only a cat would. That is what I can share at this time.
Thank you.
We will extend. The title is Connections. To each and every one of you, this evening of your time. Our joy and ecstasy in your willingness to co-create this interaction. For the gift that you have given to us by your willingness to interact is beyond measure. We thank you. We bid you exciting dream lives and great accelerations. Fun and loving life to you all.
Good night.
Bingo.
Dinner to show up.
Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Daryl.
Whoopie.